Okay, so welcome everybody, welcome back. We are recording this session as always, as I can tell by the way all the cameras went off when I threatened it. So it's great to have you back. This is our third leadership session, and then our final session will be when we all come together, which I think is in June, yeah, in the beginning of June. So
Yeah.
fantastic. So looking forward to that. So we took on board, as we always do, any feedback that we got from the previous sessions, and Martin and I came up with a few fun things to share with you as leaders that we think will be useful in your roles. But as always, if you have anything else that you would like to know about or hear about, if you let us know, we will make sure it makes its way to you in some other form other than this. Because tonight is planned. But yeah, okay, so without further ado, welcome back, Martin, and I'm going to pass over to you.
Thank you, Pam. I appreciate it. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all. Happy 2026. Even though we're 1 month down, 11 to go. Yes, as Pam said, this is our third session, and continual thank you for coming along to these. I know it's not always easy when the rigors of day-to-day life within our schools takes over. So the plan for today is we're going to look at a few of the sort of things that you can do using tools like Notebook LM, maybe some edits that you can make with that in Adobe Express, and then we'll finish up with showing you Google Vids, which is not something that you might necessarily be using all the time, but some of your teachers might be kind of tied in with the recording of the ways in which activities and success are taking place within your schools. So, as I'd mentioned before, and I will just start sharing my screen. I don't have any slides this time. It's all going to be a chance for doing some hands-on. So as we had mentioned before, we'd given you an opportunity to see what these tools are. Notebook LM is one that features within your Glow Launchpad. So as you log into Glow, you and your teachers will have access obviously to Gemini, which is the tool that we kind of chat with and do various aspects with. That's the kind of wider large language model. That's the ones that we don't share any data to it to train it, but we get all the benefits of the trained model coming in. And then Notebook LM is your more refined, it's your more pinpointed tool. That's where Renfrewshire Council have sent out some policy documents, some guidance documents. If your teachers have maybe put together some documentation that you're going to put together into a school handbook, or if Education Scotland have sent you out some content, or you've been asked to review, it's sometimes easier to narrow the focus, and that's the good thing about Notebook LM is it really narrows the focus down and it accommodates itself into various styles, whether that's video, audio, or a couple of the new tools that we're going to look at, such as infographics, which can be hugely beneficial and actually very accurate in terms of how it brings things out. So I obviously when you're on your your Glow Launchpad, and I will do that because they both start with a G, and I don't know if it's just a mental block, but when I mean to say Glow, I'll say Google. When I mean to say Google, I'll say Glow. So sometimes if I misspeak, it's because it's a mind fuzz, not anything else. So on your Glow Launchpad, that's where you have the tiles. Remember, if you can't find the tile, you just do a search at the top. So if I just type in notebook, and then you can launch it from there. And if you're wanting to pin it to your launchpad, you just tap the I in the top corner and you get that option. Notebooks are essentially what you would imagine, right? You have a notebook. What do you jot down in it? You jot down links, you put in some work, you do various different things. That is what brings it all together, right? Are these notebooks. And you can have notebooks for various things. You can see I've got notebooks on Microsoft Immersive Reader, Google Gemini and notebook features, digital competency framework, digital literacy, education IT, things that I find quite beneficial. And also ones that I do as demonstrations. So for example, let's see how we might do I have just been sent an email that has a number of links that give me this from, someone sent me this and they've said, right, Martin, we want you to have a look at this because this is going to be something that we want to talk about for our Education Scotland AI guidance. Maybe we could have a look at this and discuss it and break it down. So that's, there's quite a lot of bits of information in there, different things that I'm looking at, a few different aspects that go together. So instead of scrolling through it, and know that I might need to come back to that link. If I copy the link, just using Control C on my keyboard, and if I go to Notebook LM, if I create a notebook, you can see that that is there. So it asks me to paste in. You can see I could upload files. So say, for example, you get sent a document, maybe you get sent the Children's Parliament work or various other parts, even if it's a file or even if it's just copied text. So somebody sent you an email and they've sent you the talking points. You can copy that text and put it in as one of your sources. I'm just going to put that one link in just now, but then there might be more that I need to collate and curate as I go through. But you can see it's analysed the document and I have a number of options here at the studio. So these will start to name it based on various things. So I'm just going to call this AI guidance. All right, so that's fine there. I could search some new resources. So I could say UK guidance on generative AI in education. And it's going to do, it's going to do a search just based on this. So I don't necessarily, and I've just realized I need to switch my tab. So it's doing a search that, this is why you always have two devices, folks. So what I shall do is go back because I realized that you didn't see any of the things that I was talking about there. So as I said, if I go to create new notebook, here are my options here. If I paste in that link, it's going to use it. It's going to do information based on this. I could upload files, so someone might send you an attachment that has a document to look at. There might be additional websites, or there might even be a YouTube video. There might be a file that's in your Google Drive that goes with it, or even within the email that has been sent. I could tap copy text and I could paste that in, but I'm just going to use this link beforehand, and it's doing my search on the side here. I have my untitled notebook, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to look for a robot, because that's going to be more suitable. And there we go, it's now said UK safety standards for generative AI in education. I might want to add a source, so I could do a web search here. I could say UK guidance on generative AI use in education. So I actually want to be a wee bit more specific. That's safety, but I want to see examples or even, no, let's just go with that because it's probably got a few things. So it's going to research websites based on that specific prompt. So I don't have to go out, go to Google, copy the link, paste it in. I can do
Yeah,
my own mini search in here. Sorry, Pam.
as I was just going to say, and I think that's that's another evolving feature that
Yep.
wasn't there in the beginning. So that's why we're coming back and highlighting these things to you, because it just shows you the pace at which it's developing. So if you're thinking, oh, but can I not? This is, you can now do it within. Is
Yeah,
what we're saying.
that's the best thing about this is essentially all of the research information, graphics, mind map, everything you need to do is in this kind of one-stop shop. It does mean that as you start to build it more, what we can also look at is how within Gemini, like later on, we could maybe look at this in the face-to-face one, but Gemini can pull specifically just from your notebook using gems. I think if you remembered, we'd mentioned the gems. Gems can be used specifically for a teacher within your school. whether it is a policy document that's maybe been shared on numeracy, maybe it's children's rights, rights respecting school, maybe Education Scotland have sent you something out about the new technical framework or about the new curriculum improvement cycle updates. You can add to this as you go through, but you can create gems within Gemini which are focused. You're using the full power of Gemini, but it's focused for a specific reason. And it means that we are coming to the stage as well that we should be able to start sharing these at some point, these gems. So that's going to be beneficial. What's great about back to Notebook is what it even does is it gives you the document itself. It doesn't say that you have to take the website itself. It gives you everything you need. So I could say, right, I don't want the call for evidence. What happens if UCAS detects your personal statement? Don't need that because that's not maybe something we're looking at just now. AI in schools and colleges. Yep. Don't need this one. A guide to using AI and ChatGPT. We're not using that. Maintaining quality and standards in the ChatGPT era. That could be quite good. Keep children safe. Yep. Embracing generative AI and assessments. That could be a good thing to look at. And let's take that. So it gave me 7 sources, but I only want to use a few of them. I only want to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it gave me, about 12 sources altogether. So I'm going to import those. And what it's going to do is going to add those sources to my notebook. And now you can see down here, it's got this chat. It's actually telling me that that one's not working. So let's just saying the URL's invalid. So what we'll do is, if at this point, let's just remove it. And we'll just deal with those. So what I might want to look at here is start typing, and I could say, what do teachers need to be aware of when using Gen AI? And that's the specific term. I think if you remember, I'd said this, it's not AI, it's generative AI. It's tools that we are using to create something. So what it's doing here is based on that question that I'm asking, it is going straight into these sources. It's not going to the wider web. It's not giving you a generic search based on it. That's what the generic search is done for your sources. The specific chat is done using the sources. So it's kind of like you get an expert into your school that is versed in talking about a specific topic and you ask it a question. So it's kind of a good way to break that down, but you can see it's went through these, it's taken a look, personal data, right? So that's a good one to know about. What is considered personal and sensitive data? So if it looks at that, I'm just asking a little bit more specific. So it's defining the types of data, it's defining what they might look like, it's looking at the sensitive aspect of that. So obviously we know personal and sensitive information, anything that can be identified to yourself. Sensitive information is anything that is relating to a child's safety and child's well-being. And that's what's coming up, right? So original work, essays, lesson plans, or creative outputs are considered the intellectual property of the creator and often linked to their personal identity. But original work, essays, lesson plans, and creative outputs, that's the type of thing that we are getting our teachers to do. So the guidance that we should be giving them is in your lesson plans, in the content, in the conversations you're having with other teachers and the use of generative AI that you have here, we shouldn't be uploading any sensitive information because we have policy to back that up. And I've got a chance to kind of parse that and look at it in a more streamlined and direct way. So you can also see that it gives you, right, if I find these answers, I might save that to a note. Right, so that's just going to generate a note for me. These are just things that happen within my studio. I could also say whether this is a good answer. because that's another thing that we have to be sure that we're encouraging our users, our teachers, our pupils, and yourselves to be doing. Great. Pam's also got an example that we can share as well, which is superb. The thing that we also need to be aware of is these hallucinations and these bias and these where it might give you an answer based on the most popular document or the most popular. So one of the things that we know, um, the what we currently know about the use of generative AI and about the is that it will sometimes get a question slightly wrong. It will hallucinate. The best way to think about this is the Nelson Mandela effect, where we all thought, for years that while Nelson Mandela was in prison, he actually died, and it was just, that Chinese whispers. AI suffers from that because the data is being used to train it is human made. It's human made data. It's not self-aware. It's based on, bias. And the bias right now is from those who shout the most. So some generative AI on some social media, Grok on X, for example, that is doing, bias based on the fact that it's at the whim of Elon Musk. It's doing things that are not considered safe, ethical, and trustworthy. I don't think any AI can be trustworthy, but something like Notebook LM can make it a little bit more trustworthy because it's only using the information that you share with it. Okay. Any questions at this bit just before I go on to the studio? Any questions about creating a notebook and kind of doing the chat?
Hopefully, this is familiar to you from the first session that we did, and hopefully, some of you have had a chance to use some of this. But we thought it was important to showcase to you some of the new features, like the ability to put sources in directly, and that really key bit that Martin went through there about selecting which sources from the web, because you will have reliable sources from the web that you know. So it's kind of highlighting that.
Yeah, uh, absolutely. I think um, it's that familiarity. I think once you start getting used to using some of these tools, it's more realizing that they iterate and they grow and they start to, um, you know, they start to grow, they update, they will constantly be evolving. And I think that's why, even within an education sphere, none of us are going to be considered having an expertise in this. We will have an efficiency. We become more efficient at using it, but the only way you can become efficient is to become proficient. And you can only do that by using it a little bit more. So I find that my use of Gemini and Notebook LM becomes a little bit faster because I'm using it every day. I'm finding a use case. It's not just a case of doing it for doing its sake. It has become a tool, but human interaction is key within this. I did a session last night with a number of teachers, and one of the key things that we said, it was for a group of teachers getting introduced to Google Gemini. And one of the key things that I said to them was, remember, you're still the teacher, you're still the Hede, you're still the senior leadership. The AI is another tool within the toolkit. It's another pencil within the pencil case. It's not going to replace anybody because it doesn't think for itself. It will make things easier. It will make things faster. So people who design websites or build websites for a living might find that their job is changing ever so slightly. But that's what happens to us all. We find an evolution of our role. So it's important that we are aware of what these tools are, how they go through, and how they actually change, and how they have a benefit to what we are doing. One of the ways I'm definitely finding a benefit is when I move into this studio aspect here. Now you'll notice there's two of them that are um, labeled with beta. That just means they're they're still new. They're still so new that they're not perfect yet, right? So you've probably seen, if you've got an iPhone or an Android, that some apps release in a beta or some features release in a beta. That just means that they're kind of still going to be wonky and not 100%. But what they are is when they do work, they are awesome. Now, we all love an infographic, or is that just me? I love an infographic because I'm a visual learner. I love looking at things and actually seeing how it looks. So if I just tap infographic, it's just going to create one based on all of these sources that I have here, right? And it does it, if I tap that, it's just going to think for a couple of minutes and it's based on all of my sources. So I'm going to let it do that. And while it's doing that, just to mention to you, these two features are a great way to build these visual aids that you might use within a staff meeting. So say, for example, your school improvement plan has green rights respecting school as a focus, or rights of the pupil, or pupil voice, or something along those lines that we know is important. But you probably have a lot of documentation, you have a lot of year group meetings, you have a lot of notes and various things that have taken place. And it would be quite good at the end of it to actually bring up a graphic and say, right, what was it we actually tried to achieve this year? What was, here's the infographic about where we were at the start of the year. Here's the infographic where we were by Christmas. And here's the infographic of where we are. And all you're doing is you're pinpointing, only use the notes marked May to June 2026. Only use the sources marked June 2026. You can actually be quite specific. You could also ask it to you could also ask it to give you an infographic based on a particular focus, and that's what I'm going to do once it generates, because it's it's actually getting a lot better, right? It has been a bit, it's it, it's had its teething trouble, shall we say, with certainly with the early versions of this. It wasn't so good at doing text. It wasn't so good at doing writing and it being legible. I will say that over the past few weeks, it has got a lot better and a lot more accurate, Pam.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so exactly that. We had been running sessions on the Digital Learning Through Play Award with Eva, your colleague Martin, and so we took the
Yes.
recording that looked at what was a digital learning strategy, and we used the video recording of our meeting that she gave, with our ELC colleagues, and we created our infographic. So whilst yours is generating, can I share it just to give you
Of
an
course you can.
idea?
I will stop sharing my screen right now.
Um, I'll just hopefully let you guys see that. Let me know when you can see it.
Yep, that's good, Pam. It's up.
Yeah, so you can see that was based on the five sources. So that was our five video meetings that we'd had. So nothing else, just what Eva said on those sessions. And it came up with this, a guide for early year sessions. So it gave us the vision, considered approach, and it takes through all the stuff that we spoke about. Um, and I shared this at the latest ELC uh, award session that we did, and people were like, "This is great." I said, "Now we've still got to tweak it. We've still got to fix it. Make changes to it from for our point of view." But what a great starting point, because you've got this. What are the different things that we have said all the way through? We've talked about all these different focus. So it's just a way of showing that was us using the recordings that we did the sessions in. It was just one piece of information from the same source, which was a video source, and it gave us this. And there are different, so we did it as different types. So we've got that was the not so complex, and this is the more complex, which I can zoom in and you can see there's a lot more in this. But just, I mean, it looks completely different to the first one that I showed you, but it's from, you see up here, the same five sources. So I just thought that was such a great way of showing you how I've taken something that's very relevant to those staff that are going and working their way through this, and particularly as leaders. And there's all the stuff that we're saying.
I was
What,
going to say, while you've got that up, Pam, zoom
yeah,
in a little bit just so we can see the text. Mine is taking
yeah,
a wee bit of time, but you can see there, you know, the clarity of the text that has come out. Now, if this had been, if I'd been showing you this just before Christmas, round about the November time, you would have seen. a huge disparity in the quality of text. And you can see round the side there, the enriched loose plays parts, play battery operated fairy lights, torches. You can see that we've
Yeah,
got a mix of two paragraphs kind of going over together. So it's
yeah.
still not 100%, but my God, is it
It's it's such a step forward.
it's a
And
huge step forward.
yeah,
I've
and I think
generated an
I've got
infographic
yeah,
for what we're doing with your teachers in the next
yeah,
session.
that's
Um,
that. That's what
and
that
it,
is.
yeah, it's
You know, that whole thing we've talked about, that walled garden, and it's there. Now, some of the text isn't perfect in this one because I did generate it, as you said, before Christmas, but it just, that whole visual there, it's just getting better and better and
yeah,
better.
yeah, it's
Sorry, right, yours
mass.
is
No,
probably
no, no.
generated by now.
No, it's no, it's not. That's the weird thing. It's obviously because I've got a lot. But now this is actually a good way to actually let you know why this is taking so long. It's really taken this amount of time because it is it's based on all of the sources. It's going
Yeah.
through all of the sources. It's going through all of the information. I have not been specific with this, so I can make it sound like I did this on purpose. I kind of did, I kind of didn't. I just tapped it because I was tapping its sake, and sometimes I can be a bit tap happy. But what's happened here is I have not given it a specific area to focus on. I've just said, create me an infographic. Right now, if you think of the instruction that you give verbally, if I just said to kids, go off and create me a poster on AI, but what focus do you want it to have, Mr. Coots? I don't care. Just go off and make me a, but just entertain yourself for however long. Just on you go for the afternoon. Create me a poster. But Mr. Coots, what do you want it to look like? What is it? And it's it's frustrating for the kids because they haven't been given an instruction. Now, it's not necessarily frustrating for Notebook LM. It's not going to sit there and go, oh, you never told me what to be specific on. But what it will do is it will take forever. The more sources you have, and that's just even 5 sources, but it's 2 web links, 3 PDFs. There's a lot of information for it to go through. So that is where this pen is your friend. So if I tap on the pen, you can see, right, what is the graphic I want it to create, right? So I want it to create a landscape because I'm going to put it on a slide, and I want to focus on that I want to create focused on, I'll spell that wrong, it's one S, focused on uh, safety using a blue theme with bright images. Tap generate. So it can create 2 at the same time. It's still going to be using all 5 sources, but what it's not going to be doing is going through all of them in detail. And I can come out of this and come back to it. It'll still do it in the background. So for example, this one, which is what I'm doing with your staff this afternoon, have been looking at a few different options that are there. So you can see I've already created an infographic, and there's the infographic I created that I'm going to share with teachers this afternoon about the tools that are within Microsoft. And that's another one that we have. But you can see just based on what Pam has said there, I've only done this based on 2 sources, but it gives me, it's quite clear. Be a teach module or assignments in teams. That's pretty clear. It's not using the most up-to-date image for Copilot. That's okay. We could maybe change that. Step 1, building your AI quiz. That's fine. Provide key details and content. You can see this is actually pretty accurate. And again, this is just me going through and saying, tap in the infographic, but because I'm only using 2 sources, which is a YouTube video and a Glow Connect page, I have asked it a few questions. Is there a way to focus on this for a Scottish context? And how can educators get started? It's given me a couple of clear, focused. Can you edit within so it doesn't create it as an editable file. What it does do is it creates it as an image, Jamie. But what we can do, and I'll show you this in a wee second, is we can start to use Adobe Express to maybe add some of the bits in. But the way to think about this is it's not creating it as a slide. That's what the slide deck will do. That does become an editable slide. So if I tap on slide deck for this one, I'll show you. What we could also do is I can have a quick look and see if my other one is
I've got
generated.
this. I've got the slide deck open. If you need a
That's
slide
it.
deck,
Yeah, that's okay. But it shouldn't take. Hopefully, shouldn't take too long. UK safety standards still generating the image, but because it is only working on two slides
shouldn't
here,
take too long.
it shouldn't take too long. So with the slide deck, if I go into the edit button again, you'll see it's similar. It gives me a detailed deck or just presenter slides. So if I'm wanting something that is just a wee bit more straightforward, that can be presenter slides. I could even make it short, so it's only going to be a few slides. And I could say provide an overview and introduction to the materials and tap generate. So now it's going to generate two slide decks. So it's creating one that's a wee bit more in depth and it's creating one that isn't so in depth, just because I asked it to be a little bit more specific with it. So with this, obviously, what I'll show you in a wee second, Jamie, is I'll download this image and we can put it into Adobe Express and show you how, if there is something that isn't quite right, that you might want to change it. So again, this is where the efficiency only comes the more you use it. Again, this isn't going to be your only solution. This is just going to be an option that you can take away just now. But if you're, I definitely think that if you're sitting there with a number of source materials that you have to look at, if you're sitting there with a number of bits of information that you have to kind of break down, then it's important that you are sort of feeling comfortable with that. So I'll let these generate and let me show you what I was talking about in terms of editing. So I'm going to do a couple of precursors to this. So first thing I'm going to do is download. So there we go. It's downloaded my file. That's now in my files on my Chromebook. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick search for the Microsoft Copilot logo.
I think this is the thing where I found it so useful for the infographics because you're looking at lots of different things, but actually you're only wanting to boil it down to like so many steps. And
Yeah,
so being able to get that produced for you and then pulling it into Adobe Express and doing those little tweaks like you were saying there, like swapping out Copilot for the Microsoft 365 for the Copilot thing, I think that just makes it's going to save you so much time, unless you are, of course, a very talented artist and you love doing infographics and drawing it out. And of course, that only ever takes you 5 minutes. So I
when
think it's
yeah,
about using it in a smarter way, isn't it?
absolutely. So Adobe Express is obviously another tool that we have within the toolkit. It's another tool that we have within the Glow sphere. And what we're able to do within this is if I just tap on it, that's obviously going to be on your Glow Launchpad. Let's switch to sharing this tab. Meanwhile, I'm going to keep looking at my notebooks to see, oh, it's generated one, Pam. It's generated one. Let me just show you that.
That's great.
So here is that infographic that I created about AI in UK schools adoption guide. Look at that. I mean, it took 10 minutes because I was doing a few different things happening. Plus, to be honest, I'm using an older Chromebook that can sometimes slow down a little bit. If I was doing this on my phone or if I was doing this on a modern computer, on a more up-to-date computer, then it might be different. But you can see things like that are just looking That is quite clear.
Yeah, that's really good.
Okay. So that's
Yeah.
one that is just based on the 5 sources. Don't think it's quite finished the other one yet. Let's see about the slides. Hasn't done them yet. We'll come back to that. So back to Adobe Express. I've obviously been using this so much that Glow has decided to sign me out, which is fun. So let's share this tab. So if you recall, I downloaded that infographic and I have also saved the Microsoft Copilot and Microsoft 365 logo. So I just want to make some edits to my slide. So you can see, hi, what do you want to create? There's a lot of different tools on this. We can go into a bit of detail with Adobe Express in one of the sessions if you want to. Otherwise, your teachers are getting quite proficient with this. Your kids are definitely getting quite proficient with this. And we know that through various usage and live lessons that we're getting quite a lot of people who are actively using Adobe Express. It's a fun creative app, but it also has a number of use cases. So what I'm actually going to do is I am going to tap my plus icon in the corner here, and I'm going to upload media. You can see that option that exists there, upload media. Here's my file picker. There's that unnamed file I was using, including the Microsoft Copilot app. So let's go to my option there, and it's going to say, right, let's go with edit the original image, because that's what I want to do. So this is a free app that we get access to, but what it does is it actually gives you all of the kind of powerful Adobe editing tools at your fingertips. It works on an iPad, works on a Windows laptop in the browser, works on a phone. I've got a folding phone, works on that perfectly. When you tap on the image, you get these edit tools, right? And you'll see that one of them actually says erase. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit because this logo is the thing I want to erase. So if I tap on erase, click on erase, it's giving me the erase tool, and I'm going to take the size down a little bit just so I can be a bit specific here. So let's erase this logo. That'll do. Take some, no, it's going a bit too much. So let's undo. Do take that bit. So I sometimes just click, there we go, and that's taken it out. Perfect. Let's tap done.
I definitely think the more you use it, the more accurate you get at
You
it.
get, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. If I had a wee bit more time, I'd be doing this in a lot more detail.
yeah.
Next, I'm going to go into, now you could do this in PowerPoint as well, in all fairness. If I go into elements, this is just me, I'm actually going to add in a rectangle. Go, let's take the square. And nope, don't want to move it. To take this, place it there. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to make this the same color as the background. Now you could do this in PowerPoint just to be 100% honest. That's easy enough to do. Let's go with that. Okay, so that is erasing that icon. Okay, so that's taking me a couple of minutes. If I was doing this a wee bit more accurately, it wouldn't take me as long. Going to add content, media, going to upload from my device, and I'm going to add in the Microsoft Copilot app. There we go. So I'm going to place that exactly where it was. And I can do the same with any of these elements. If there was something here that I didn't like, if I wanted that to maybe be the Microsoft, maybe a device logo, something like that, I could do. I could even add something in where I could say, let's insert an object, continue And then what
I
I'll
love
do
the idea
is,
that you can insert it so that you can make it as, you know, if you wanted to, you could add your school logo onto it, for example, if it was something that you're wanting to send out to parents. So I just love the fact that you can personalize it really easily using Adobe Express.
yeah. So now I've just painted the area that I want to put in. So I'm going to say a laptop in a um, illustration style. Let's tap insert. You can see there it's given me, this is the area that it's going to create it in. So it's generating my results. It's using AI, it's using generative AI here to think about what it is it's wanting to do. Again, just the speed at which it's doing it is based on how much detail you're going into. There we go. You can see it's actually been quite accurate and it's given me different options so I could even see which one fits a bit more. That one fits quite nicely. That one's quite similar to the style. Because what it's done is it's looked at the image as a whole. Let's keep that one. It's looked at the image as a whole and it said, right, what style? It's used the sort of the generative AI to say, right, what's the style that we're actually going for here? Well, we're going for that style. So when I'm happy with it, right, so if I close this, it's just doing the various parts, but when I'm happy with it, give it a name. So I could call this Learning Accelerators Info. You can see my spelling's absolutely shocking. That's fine, tap enter. And now if I download, that's going to download as an image, and I'll share that with the teachers this afternoon. So one of the key things here, folks, is that despite the fact we have a number of tools that are available to us, we're not just relying on one of them, right? And our teachers aren't relying on it, your learners aren't relying on it. We are using all of these tools kind of working together. We are smashing these together and looking at the various ways that these tools can actually come together and create the best product that we want to create. Now, we could be sitting in PowerPoint and positioning these things, and that might only save me maybe about 50% of my time, but that's 50% of my time that I have now got back. And that increases, it's estimated that roughly 85% of the time that you spend on little edits, right, on the little tweaks here and there, it's estimated that roughly 85% of that can be saved, right? You can almost get 100% of your time back that it takes you to do all of the little niggling bits here and there. The one that I asked it to create on a specific one about the safety framework. So there's that one's now been generated. So I might want to tweak this, but I can see this is looking quite clear. So I could take this as an image, put it into a Microsoft PowerPoint slide, add text over it, put my school logo down in the corner, put it into Adobe Express, add in some more generative AI content that is there. I could also fire this into Google Gemini and say, using the above image, make an edit to the text at the top. And Google Gemini can also do those edits. So for example, let's download this one and put it into Gemini and see if there's something we can do with it. Let's go to Gemini now. So again, this is just our, Gemini prompt where we have the create image, but one thing we haven't looked at is uploading a file. All right, so let's upload this file. Okay, make an edit to the attached image, add the text Renfrewshire Council, to the bottom left-hand corner. Match the font and color with the original image. So again, thinking of the edits you want to make, the ways that you want to change things, I asked it to create an image using this image as a source and giving it the prompt. Now, and you can see it's come back really quickly and it's done. Okay. So using generative AI in this regard, it's matched the font, it's made it clear, it's straightforward enough, hasn't made any issue. 30 seconds. All right. What I could also do is I can even attach a logo. So let's just quickly, in fact, I think I have this downloaded, but let's just do it anyway. So let's download an Renfrewshire Council logo, shall we? And Pam, if anyone from your standards team is looking, I am doing this all legally. I'm not just going and finding the first image that I can and saving it to my
It's
computer.
fine. But that's the thing, because within our own, settings, we've got our own images of our school badge, our establishment badge. We have all of that
Yeah.
already. So it's just a case of what Martin's saying there is just basically uploading that at the same time as your file and asking Gemini to put that in for you, which I just think is such a time saver. I always say I'm not the person that is the best drawer in the world. I can pull things together, but drawing was never my skill. But by using these tools, it allows me to be more creative, which I think is just really helpful.
So I've uploaded the Renfrewshire Council logo. All I've said is include this image in the center of the edited image, i.e. the one that we have just generated, and it's even changed the color. Now I can go back and I could say you've cropped the image, maintain the original format. So if I go back to this and I could say, right, what you've actually done here is, so this is not the right output. So I could say you have cropped the image, maintain the original aspect ratio and decrease the size of the included logo you just added so it doesn't cover any of the original
Again, that's a
text.
master in prompt there, Martin, how you wrote that. But that's important because it is, and I know we talked about this in our previous sessions, but it is all about the prompting. The more you use it, the better you get at prompting. So the more likely you are to get the outcome that you want. So playing about with
Yeah,
that, you can
and it
tell
is.
Martin's well used to doing
You
that.
can, yeah, it is a case of taking your time with it. So there, it's put it into the center. It's reduced the size. It's still cropped the image. So what I might actually have to go back to is saying no. What I want you to do is use the original image and so upload two images at the start and say. And so it's a case of going back. It's a case of learning as you're going back and as you are doing it. These slide decks, Pam, are taking absolutely forever.
Do you want me to
Um,
share my slide
so
deck?
I was
Yeah,
going to say, why don't you share your slide decks
yeah.
just so we can see what they're like? I usually have a few prepared, and I have them prepared, but they're not in Notebook LM. They're enabled in Google
Yeah.
Canvas.
No worries. Right, so this one is again based on our sessions that we've done between the recorded sessions from the educators and the leadership ones that we've recorded. So that's where the source is. And my prompt was to ask it to create basically how we use, in this case, how we use the tools with generative AI. And this is what it gave me. So I'm just going to play it for you now. Can you still see it okay?
Yeah, it's fine, Pam.
So this just takes you through what we've talked about, and okay, so we've got a misspelling of your name there,
That's my
Martin.
that's my that's my German pronunciation. That's Martin Kutz. Yeah, that's Herr Kutz.
No.
Not
But what I
Skynet.
love about that
This is
is,
creepy if you went to the gym.
yeah, but you know what I love about that is the fact that it's all the stuff that we have said. So it's the stuff that in these sessions we've been talking about, and that's what it is. Just like the data, the stuff we've talked about, data privacy, about us being in the driving seat, and it's all within Glow. So I just think it's such a nice set of slides, of infographic, that
Pam,
I
can
just
you go
think it
back
really,
just a slide or two? Go back again. Yeah. Can we download that image of Glow and ask them if they can
yeah,
update that and have that as a new
yeah,
logo? That is awesome.
exactly.
I
It's
want
good,
that as the
isn't
new Glow logo.
it? I like that.
Aye.
I think that's good. But yeah, so it takes you through all the things that we've been talking about, from 40-page policy to a 5-minute briefing. It's showing you the different things that you can do. And I think it's a great way of pulling it together, just the different sessions, what we talked about. Now, this was me basing it on all, but I could have just taken one session to do this. And that kind of vague prompt there, I'm not really sure, and you can see the difference in what we were just talking about there, a masterclass from Martin on prompting, and it just takes it through everything. So I just think really simple, nice series. I'm sure I asked it for kind of keeping in the light purple for Renfrewshire colours when I
Hmm.
did my original prompt, but everything's there. There's a wee bit from Adobe Express, the stuff that we talked about, the loud tasks, the quiet tasks. I can hear us talking as we go through this.
Yeah.
There's a lot in this. Now it was a large source and it did take, a little while to generate, but you get the idea. And then presumably, Martin, you were about to say that whole download and then share it and edit it in Google Slides.
I was also going to say about putting it into Google Vids, Pam, because
Yeah,
that's obviously
yeah,
another thing you can do with these slide decks is within Google Vids. You can take a slide deck that you have and you can put it into Google Vids and create a voiceover and things like that. So if your teachers have sets of work that they're using, if they have slides that they're using or sharing, then what's quite great about this is you can convert a slide deck that you have. So let me share this tab and see if this is going to come up. There we go. So here is your
yeah, we
Google
can see
Vids.
it.
So you can see one of the options at the end there is to convert slides. So this is again how you bring all of these tools working together. Once you have your slide that you have created, you can see I've actually got a few. So here's one that I was working on last night that I was doing a session for. So if I have them existing in my slide deck, then I can just say, right, I want to select that. And it takes all of the slides and it uses generative AI in the background to say, right, what slides do you want to take in? Well, I don't want that. I only really want uh, these. I will only want slides 6 through 12. So let's import those. So what it will do is if you've used any visual editor before, what it has also done is it has imported these slides as editable objects. So you're then able to edit the text. You're able to edit the logos. You're able to add your school logo in. For example, if I wanted to insert and upload, I could take my Renfrewshire Council logo, open it, position it, and I can even animate it, right? So if I right click, you can see I've got this animation that I could bring in where I we breathe Renfrewshire. No, we don't. We are, of course, we breathe Renfrewshire. What am I saying? No, I'm going to have this start this slide in, right? And I could have it. coming into these various ways. So I realise we're coming up to the end there, Pam. I think Google Vids might be an option to kind of look at it a bit more in a bit more detail next time.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the other
When we're
thing,
face to face. Yeah,
yeah, and I think because it's definitely one that we can get you guys to actually do a bit of
hands
hands-on
on.
with.
Yeah,
That might be quite a good one to do hands-on, and I know everybody's having to jump off, so I'm going to
yeah.
stop there with 2 minutes to go, Pam.
Mhm. That's good. That's great. I was just going to say very quickly, I was going to mention the video. So, if there's any heads still on the call for the operational update, I've inserted a little video all about seamless registration codes. Thank you,
Oh,
Notebook LM, for that with a lovely American accent, and it does a nice wee video overview. So you'll get to see that on the 5th of February if you're ahead just for a bit of fun.